Good evening and welcome to the weight room on this Monday evening. I am Dr. Claire. I'm so happy that you've joined us, whether you joining us live or whether you will see it later. I pray that you will like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Tonight we're going to talk about, we're going to extend the conversation we've been talking about Christian dating, particularly with millennials, but it can apply to anybody because it's hard out there in these streets. And I have my wonderful co-host, Reverend Elder Jerome Case, man about town, father of several children, husband of one wife,
Oh
hallelujah,
my.
and transformational coach. I mean, he's just a great guy. We have a special guest tonight, Reverend Eugene Williams, who is, I think, the pastor of everybody under 25 at Ray of Hope Christian Church. Um, Welcome.
Thank you
We're
so
going to
much.
begin the conversation this evening about Christian dating from the male perspective. So, welcome, sirs. How y'all doing?
Oh
Doing
man,
well.
I feel good. I feel good. I've been elevated. I've been a special guest. Now I'm the co-host.
Hey, oh, I thought you knew that.
It happens. I got favor ain't fair now.
Amen.
That's all right.
Well, you all break some ice a little bit. I'm going to chase down some technical difficulties and I'll be on back on in a sec.
All right. Oh man, look who's training under fire. Here we go, good people.
Right.
Brother Eugene. Brother
Yes,
Eugene, thank
sir.
you for joining us, man. Listen, we are talking about dating as a Christian, and we know that I don't. Oh, I think an old pastor told me one time, a mentor said, Christians don't date well.
Hmm.
And it's like, we have that spiritual connection. Some of the things that you be trying to hold on to and hold back from kind of lean you in the wrong direction sometimes. Find yourself in hot water on nights. But that's just life. And the reason I say that is because let's keep it 100. A lot of the topics we have around dating and Christian life, we put this such a strict and heavy pressure. I said these strict boundaries, right? They're life boundaries, but we magnify them in such a way that it makes people very uncomfortable to talk about dating and keeping it real about dating and life and what does that mean, and how do you date as a Christian and how do you live righteously at the same time? Do you need to quote scriptures on the first time you meet somebody? Do you need to ask what church they go to? Do you need to ask what denomination they're part of? Do you need to ask who their pastor is? Do you need to ask what they serve? Instead of just getting to know people. So I think in this time, it's good for us to just set the atmosphere like, all right, you've come. We have a gentleman here. And I'll presume you're a gentleman because Dr. Henry wouldn't have brought anybody up here any less.
Yeah.
Right. I
It.
know where you worship at and handle your business in ministry at. So I know you're going to be a gentleman and that you are one with a lot of character and class. With that said, man, how is it out here in the streets dating?
So, man, it's really not that bad. It's relative. How is it out here in the street? So let me introduce myself to everyone. I'm Reverend Eugene Williams. I'm the minister to children, youth, college students, and young adults at Ray of Hope Christian Church. And so, particularly with the youth and the young adults, I get to have these conversations from time to time about dating. I'm actually preparing lessons right now to teach youth a Christian perspective on dating and sex. And so I'm glad that you all are having these conversations. I'm glad that you all have invited me. Particularly for me in these streets, man, it's really not that bad. I say it's relative because you have to really know who you are. You have to know as a Christian, as a believer, as a human being. You should know who you are and what you want, and you should know how to communicate these things. I kind of operate on what I call the 5 no's, and this is just from learned experience. But before I get there, dating for me, I'm a long-term dater. I'm not good at being out in the streets. Like I'll meet somebody, go on a date. If it works out, it's not. I'll meet somebody, go on a date or two. We'll see where it goes. If we lose touch, we lose touch. That's okay, because not every person that I talk to is meant to be my wife.
But let's touch on something real quick.
What's that?
Where do you meet people? Because see, this is the conundrum. That is the conundrum, and I want to frame it this way.
You take them to the Cheesecake Factory.
Tell us what you. No, come on.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Yeah.
Absolutely. I ain't even going to Cheesecake Factory on the first date.
Listen, see, we going there. We're going there. I want to frame it this way. He gave us what he does and who he is and how he handles it. But let's get to the practicality, because what we have is we have a lot of people back at what we consider millennial, right? And that's I think what are the years for millennial? I forgot. Like 80 through 81,
like 27 to 40.
Yeah, I don't think it's like 40 right now.
It's up to 40. No, 41. I think 41 is a cutoff. My wife is an elder millennial. She's she's right around there. Hey man, look, you saw I stopped, right?
Right.
So, point is, we've been talking, and it's like it's hard out here for people to find people. And I'll say women say it's hard out here to find men, quality, and so they're using apps. They're not getting approached in the street. They're not getting approached, while they're out like they used to, and
at the grocery store.
And I don't want to say, see, you won't be in the club, because I don't know if Christians can club these days. You know what I mean? So we want to keep it real. Like, this is practical, and it's not just clergy listening. We got regular people who are Christians. They go to the club. So how does a man such as yourself meet people?
So I'm a little different, man. I meet people. I don't do much. I don't go out much. I'm really an extreme introvert. That's something I've learned about myself over time. I like to be in the house. And so when I go to work, before I got into full-time ministry, I would go to work. I would go to church. When I was in school, I would go to school, and then I would go back home. I would go my places. And what I've come to realize throughout my whole life, I've met people where I was. Me being who I am, when I was in college, I met people on campus. I didn't go out a lot.
Right.
Even as a guy in a fraternity, I didn't really go to everything. I wasn't that out, as some of my frat brothers would say. But I was focused on other things. And but what I'm saying is, I met people where I was. When I was working somewhere and I was single, I met somebody at the job. I like you. It's pretty cool. We keep it professional. It is what it is. I meet people at church.
Oh man,
so we don't have to. I'm pretty cool about dating people at work, because I try to be as direct as possible. I try to be, and these are lessons learned over time. I try to be direct, and I try to be upfront. I try to know who I am and know what I want, know what I communicate, and know how to communicate what I want and the like. And so,
wow,
so going out to clubs,
it's environmental.
Huh?
It's environment based for you. Yeah. So you're an environmental dater. I think we got a new term. Environmentally dating in the 2000s and beyond, right?
Okay.
That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting that So I'm asking you this though: is it primarily? I guess it was primarily environment, but have you used any other resources like dating apps, or is it for you sometimes negotiated through friends and like you meet somebody, you're going out and you meet people through friends?
So I've met people through friends. I've never used a dating app. Like I said before, I'm normally a long-term dater. Once I find someone I'm really interested in, I really focus and hone in on that person. And so, like I said, like I told Reverend Claire, I'm dating. I'm in a relationship right now, but there's this theory that I have, not theory, but it's just understanding of what it means to be single or married. You are single until you're married. We choose to commit to someone. We choose to be exclusive, and we operate in that But we shouldn't get to the
Mhm.
point we're where we are acting in every single way as though we're married before we're actually there. Because if the relationship
Right.
goes south, we can just, it's a conversation, it's a text, or you break a lease or whatever it may be. But it's not,
Not very police.
Man,
if
he
you
said
get,
a
if you have,
text message. I don't even. Good
right,
gosh, bro. He's
some
like
people
breaking them
have
off. He's like, hey, we've
it.
been together for 2 years. This ain't working.
Listen,
I'm out.
you can be together for 2 years
Yeah.
and be and be mad the whole time.
But hey, listen.
Sometimes.
So
Yeah. So
let me ask you.
what's long term? I mean, what
I was going there. Like, what is
that's
long term, bro? Because you said quite a couple different things.
Yeah,
So what's
you
long
got to pull
term?
me coattails a little bit. I tend to ramble, but long term is a year, 2 years, and however longer than that. I think a year is long term.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question.
that's
What's
long
up?
We
enough.
asked. Well, we asked our last guest this question here. Like, how long does the dating then become a commitment for you?
Hmm,
Right.
that's good. What you mean? Say how long
So
does?
so let me give you an example.
Okay.
When I was single and I would meet someone, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna just keep it one. If I was meeting someone, if I'm dating, to me, dating is I'm going out here, I'm meeting this person. Let me back up. Actively dating, right?
Yeah.
So that means I'm available to meet new people. So I might be on a date one day on a Wednesday night and maybe on a Friday night with someone different. Just getting to know them, and we would call those. I would like to do coffee dates, dessert dates, because I'm a face-to-face person.
Mhm.
I'm not going to talk to you for too long or text. I'm not texting you forever. I'm Gen X, and text don't work, right?
Yeah.
We got to talk on the phone, and then we got to do something in person. So for me, if I'm vibing with somebody, as they say now, you catch a vibe, right?
Mhm.
Um, 6 months, we got to make a commitment. Like between in the 6 months, that person may be hanging out or doing whatever on people that they're interested in seeing. But you're talking to people. It's a frequency that happens. You start to like them, and then you're saying, you know what, 6 months, we're gonna do something. It has to be a commitment here where we're now that word exclusive, right?
Yeah.
And it's not binding like a contract, but it's respectful, right? Of our time and who we are. And it gives us an opportunity to hone in and get a little bit more closer to as close as possible. Because once you're married, you're even more closer and you find out a load of other things.
Yeah.
But put that point, right? Because I believe at 6 months, you can waste a whole year if you don't set some guidelines of,
Yeah.
of just, well, hey, we weren't really together. We was dating, but now 6 months, man, we got to be exclusive. How about you?
Yeah. I totally understand that. I wouldn't set a such a strong boundary in anybody with anyone I'm dating. For me, it has to be an organic flow. I don't like to set a boundary. Not to set a boundary. I wholeheartedly believe in boundaries, but I don't set these particular rules and say after 6 months or after 3 months we have to make a decision on whether we're going to be exclusive or not. I'm not. It's got to be organic. I mean, Martin Luther King took Coretta Scott King out on one date and then proposed, and that was for other reasons as well. But it can be almost instantaneous.
That was pretty organic.
Yeah, and it could take 6 months. It could take 9 months. If sometimes you have to realize just because it takes someone a year to realize if they really want to be with you, you have to think about their
Oh
context.
no! Oh
What?
no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no, brother!
But
You
the
hold
point,
on, sir. You on the last look? Hey, these women count the clock.
the point I'm the
Okay.
point I'm making the point I'm making the point I'm making is this. It has to be organic. However, you need to communicate every step. You don't start communicating in 6 months and say, "Here's what I think." You need to
Oh
say, "Where?"
no!
You communicate often.
No.
Where are
So
we
so
going?
look,
What are we doing?
look.
How are you feeling?
Right. So this is the 6 month thing. The
Mhm.
6 month thing is this. If you dated somebody and you've been hanging out, you're getting to know them. The 6 month thing is What is your intention at this point? Like, we have to be solid, because and I got this from women. I didn't come up with the 6 month thing on my own, and that helped me out. At 6 months, we have to know, because by that time, 6 months, you should know if you can tolerate a person and you want to move forward, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I look at it
Tolerate.
like this: you have jokers out here in these 5-year relationships, and they be like, well, when y'all gonna get married? Oh, well, we just still working it out. You done wasted 5 years of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
You
Yes.
5 years of your life is
so
gone.
I'll say this. I know people who were in relationships for a year. We figured it out. We knew we wanted to get married. They communicate. Let's go this way. And the relationship
Yeah.
lasted longer than marriage. I know people who dated for 5 years and been married for 20 plus years. And so I think it's all contextual, because as you're getting to know someone, first you meet their representative. And however long they choose to show you their representative is how long you
That's
date.
true.
And then you get to this,
Well,
you start to peel back some layers.
what I figured out is most people can be a representative for about 90 days. That's after 90 days, the true person's coming out.
Mhm.
Now you got to pay attention, but you can fake it for about 3 months. But after that, you're gonna know who you're with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I think
There's
Absolutely.
as long as people are
They're gonna slip.
yeah, I think as long as people are communicating amongst themselves, because
That's
like,
true.
like you say, you do have outside pressure. When y'all gonna get married? One, that's none of your business. Mind your business. Mind the business that pays you. Two, you don't know what the trauma someone else is
Oh
dealing
no,
with.
no, mind you. If you my daughter, I tell you what, I'm asking a young man,
Uh-oh.
what's your intentions? I got 2 little girls. And I got an older son that's 27. And I even asked him, hey son, you and this young lady been around for about a year now. What's the deal? Because you're 27. And here's what I've learned. And statistics bear it out. The earlier you get married, the longer you stay married. When you start having people dating for a long time, the older they get set in their ways, and then things start to happen.
Yeah.
But we're not here for that part. We're just talking about dating, right?
Yeah.
So how
Right.
do you date as a single person? You pretty much mind it out a little bit, where it is, you're an environmental dater, right? You
Mhm.
date, you meet somebody in particular, either work, social gathering, I would say friends, right? School. I might have heard you say church, but maybe they say you don't date at church.
Yeah.
Oh
So
wow, Jesus!
in my
So
training,
break that one down for me.
so you go to multiple churches, or you know people at plenty of churches, and so you can meet people
Right.
at these
Okay,
little
you mean like that, like
yeah.
through other
Now,
churches.
as a
Okay,
minister,
all right.
I was trained: don't date anybody where you work, don't date anybody where you actually
Right.
minister.
That's what I was getting at.
Full transparency, I did meet my girlfriend at the Ray, and it has been going beautifully for this entire time. So
Good.
the rules, there's always exceptions to rules. There's always something that comes up,
Okay.
because you don't know who you're going to meet, when you're going to meet them. The key is to be communicative, and to treat people right, to treat people well.
Okay.
Even if it doesn't work out. From the beginning of our relationship, we talked about it. We said, hey, this ain't normally what I do. However, I don't want ever, if this doesn't work out, I don't want us to ever be at odds with each other. At least we will be closer as friends. And that may have been a little idealistic, but at the end of the day, that's what I'm committing to. I'm committing to getting to know you. I'm committing to seeing where this goes. And I'm committed to always doing right by you. So that if it don't work
So what's your advice to young men in your age group? Because the reason I'm focusing on that in young men is because like my son's 27, right? And he's telling me about, man, it's wild out here, Dad. Before you start dating someone who, and I hear it from other people, other young people, right? And they're not even looking at marriage, because we'll just cut that off as marital statistics and divorce. But just for them to even look at that, what would your advice be to, I'm gonna say, young men and how they should handle the dating scene, ages, I would say, let's say 19 to 30, 19 to 30.
Yeah. I would say first bit of advice I would give to people, young men particularly, maybe the environmental dating. I like that phrase. Date people who have like minds and like
You can use it.
ideals and like goals as you. Um, you know, we are attracted to the things that we see. Yes, every human
Mhm.
being is, but at the same time, dating is not about trying to get to a place where you have sex. Dating is not always about getting to a place where I'm going to marry this person. Well, see if this person is somebody you would want to be married to. So take your time and actually get
Mhm.
to know somebody mentally, get to know how they think. And I've hinted at the second bit of advice I'll give is these no's that I've been hinting at. I call it the 5 no's, KNOWS. First thing you
All
got to do
right.
is know yourself. Know yourself.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Know who you are. Know what you like. Know the things that upset you. Know the things that you love. Know kind of what you're looking for. So I wouldn't say throw the list away. I would say just make sure the Lex write it in pencil. Make sure it's something that is erasable because it will change as you change. So the first thing I would tell people:
Absolutely.
know yourself. Know what you
Mhm.
want, because a lot of people can say, we can look on social media, we can look on TV or society standards. I want this girl who's brown skin, light eyes. I want a girl who's what I'm saying, stacked here, stacked there, and this, that, and the other, who wants this many kids or whatever it may be. Know what you want, and know what's most
Right.
important to you. And then the third thing is know how to communicate what you want. And I think I put that in the middle because that's the linchpin of everything. Know how to communicate what you want. And if you can't really
That's
communicate
key.
with a particular person, if you don't communicate with them because you're afraid they're going to go off, or you can't communicate with them because they don't understand the level at which you're thinking, if you can't communicate them for whatever reason, because because you're not a good communicator, one, you got to learn how to communicate. And then two, once you do, you need to let that push you into the next one, which is know how to discern. Once you communicate with somebody, there's no excuse for them not to adjust. And if they're communicating with you, there's no excuse for you not to adjust. And as you continue to communicate and you continue to grow together, know how to discern their motives,
Mm.
discern their moves, discern the things that they're doing, discern how they treat you. Do they treat you well, or are you always arguing? Do they,
Mm.
are they meeting you halfway in particular places, in terms of, oh, this is what I want in a relationship? Well, it ain't all about what you want. Know how to discern if they're meeting you halfway and if you're both in the relationship 100% and 100%. And then the last thing is know when to decide. Know when to decide. And like you say, 6 months, that's the standard you set for yourself. I know in 6 months, I'm going to have to make a decision here. What are we doing? We're moving forward, or are we just going to cut it off? Know when to decide,
Mhm.
if this is
So,
it or if this is it. You know what I mean?
oh, well, you have to note that in reverse, knowing when to decide is where you're going for, right? Are we
Mm-hmm.
going to take this to a new level? That's the 6 month rule for me. That's what I
Yeah.
had, right? Knowing is okay, is this, let's evaluate it. How has it been going
Is
for
this
us?
worth
Is
any
this
more
something we really
time?
want to do? Right. Because once you get something that you didn't touch on was matters of the heart. Because you can get caught up into the heart mode of things,
Mhm.
knowing full
Mhm.
well you need to get out of things, right?
Yeah.
But it's that heart connection. And just because, back to my original part, Christians don't date well at times. Yeah, we get connected in faith, we get connected in
Mhm.
heart, and then we're like, oh, well, let's let the Lord work it out. Well, guess what? You gonna have to work it out, right? You gotta use some
Right.
wisdom. You gotta know yourself.
All right.
So to the point here is, I wouldn't throw the list we talked about throwing away is the list of desires
Yeah.
that people say they
Right.
want in a person, right? I can, and I go back to this point. I know I had a list once in my life, and for some reason I always overlooked the most important thing looking at the list.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm.
important to me, but something would come out that probably should have been more important.
Yeah.
And when I added that to
Mhm.
the list, something else would come out, right? And I add that to the list. And it's like, well, Lord, I'm gonna just get a list of you. I'm gonna delight myself in you,
Right.
How
and you will
about
give me
that?
the desires of my heart, right? And then
Yeah.
you know what's good for me, because sometimes, and I said this on our last podcast, sometimes what you don't think is good for you is what you need. You know,
Mm.
being opposite of personality, right? My wife is an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
I am an ambivert. I'm introverted and extroverted, but I'm a lot more extroverted than I am introverted.
Yeah.
I get on her nerves, but she knows how to help me. Hey, she be like, hey man, in social settings, you DTM, bro. You're doing the most out here right now, right? And I have to bring it in, not because
Mm-hmm.
not because she's trying to tell me something wrong, but because she can help me, right? And I may not like that at first, but now I appreciate that. Um, I love, man, your five no's. I think
Mm-hmm.
knowing yourself first is a good jumping point into even getting into a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
where you have to know yourself mentally. You have to know your wounds. You have to know your triggers.
Oh yeah.
You have to
Oh my.
know. Uh, well, we could talk about that too. You have to know, like, am I ready for a real commitment? And that goes to the point of your communication is when you meet somebody, you got to know if you're really ready to move forward. Because when you discern that some people are ready for a real relationship, but you still want to play,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you still want to hang out, you
Yeah.
still want to not even do anything wrong, but you just don't want to commit right now.
Right.
Right.
You know. So as I was asking, can you help the brothers out,
Yeah.
sir? You know, with these,
And just
because
like
they
you
say it's
said,
hard out here.
knowing yourself, you have to be honest with yourself
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh
with the other
yes.
person.
Yeah.
What's so interesting is actually tomorrow. Well, the last couple weeks at our church, the men meet on Tuesdays, and they have had one of the female ministers talk to them about what women want from their husbands.
Mm-hmm.
And so tomorrow, Pastor's going to talk to the women about what husbands want from their wives. And so it's going to be on and popping tomorrow. But, part of that is being, like I said before, being honest with yourself. And also, I know it takes time. It's not something you're just going to come out and tell your whole life story, but being honest with that person once you feel that safety, because I know that's another part of it. Once you feel safe enough, if you feel safe enough to be honest with them about where you plan to go with this. Because I was in a long-term relationship, and my question was always, where are we going with this? 'Cause I ain't getting no younger. But
Yeah.
anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I like
Listen, yeah,
I like what you said there. Because it's we do have to be honest with ourselves, but it's important to be honest with our partner, the person we are with.
Right.
Because if they're willing, if they're ready to be in this serious relationship, we need not even step into
all right,
her arena. Don't even step to her. You may be
Mhm.
don't step to her till you're ready to be where she is. That's one thing that's a bit
Right.
of advice for brothers that I would say until you need to know if you're ready for a relationship at all. And then if
Mhm.
you if it once you decide, I think I'm ready for it, or if I'm not, if you're not, those women um, who are looking for something serious and looking to say in 6 months we're going to be exclusive, in a year we're going to be engaged, and 2 years we'll be married, a year after that we're going to have our first kid, hopefully twins, whatever it may be. Leave her alone.
Right.
You're going to do damage if you're still trying to play.
Absolutely.
yeah, you got
Yeah.
to. I remember. This is the truth. I was out with my frat brothers one day, and we was at this event because in Atlanta, all the frats have all the
Yeah.
events, right?
Right.
And a young lady said to me, introduced me to her, and she said, "Hey, listen, I need to know something. Do you want kids?" She asked me straight off the bat,
Wow.
and I couldn't do anything but respect all of that, because it let me know right off the rip where her mindset was. No matter what, because you can say yeah, or you like, nah, I don't know, or yeah, but you better know if you say yeah, she's already looking at something. So you can't say, hey, you popped this out on me later on. I wasn't ready. I don't know. Those things, those are some things that honesty up front can be good, especially when you meet people. What are your criteria when you do meet a young lady, right? Say you don't meet her at church. Well, you can meet her at church, but in a church environment, you meet her out somewhere else. What have been some of your initial questions that you would ask a young lady? Like, these ain't just deal breakers, but they are. I would say that one of them might be a deal breaker, but it sets the tone for if you're going to enter into this. Is this something you're going to open up yourself for, or is this just, hey, it was a great conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you ask at the coffee date?
You asked preliminary questions. You had a chit chat and the banter, but I think two of the questions, and they may they really do go hand in hand. The two of the deeper questions that I think are important are, what do you want in life? What do you want? It speaks to you, that speaks to her ambition. That speaks to the vision that they have for their own lives, and where they can be. And it helps me to see, do I want to be there? Do I want to spend the work of or spend the time putting in the work to ingrain myself in a place, in a direction that I really didn't see myself going in, and we find some sort of compromise, or do I just leave that where it was? So it helps me to understand how she thinks, what she desires in life. It helps me to really it helps me to really see if she's a critical thinker as well. The second thing is, and this is, it's kind of deep and it's a little churchy. What is your purpose in life? And that.
All right, time out. I'm gonna do you like I did last. I'm gonna give you a time out, brother. Time out.
What's up?
Oh my! What's your purpose in life?
Man. Like, right. I said this the first couple of questions. Like,
this first couple of questions.
Right. I'm like,
at the coffee date.
At the coffee date. I mean, he went all into, what's your distance?
Those are, let me go. Those are my first questions.
Your Myers-Briggs. Did you take a Myers-Briggs? Because, your Clifton-Strengths.
Okay. So I'm thinking you're asking, how do I assess? I know, how do I get to know her later on? First couple questions.
I said, hey, what's when you meet somebody, you say, we gonna, hey, dinner at around 8, what I'm saying? Coffee. What you doing? All right, man, I want to take you out tonight. All right, cool. What you doing this week? Just met you, got your number. Hey, met you out. Boom, boom, boom. You want to get together? Yeah. What do you talk about first?
First, man, like I say, it's like the basic banter. Talk about, where I'm from, talk about my family and hers, and we try to have those. I think that is critical too. So those first two questions I talked about were, as the conversation has gotten deep, if it gets deep. But the first couple of questions, I guess, that speak to a criteria, who are you as a person, where you come from, in terms of your family. So I tend to talk about my family, and I ask questions about family as well. So tell me a little bit about
family system theory already. Stop him again. Stop him again. Time out. Stop him again, man. We talking about young people out here. We need to help them. Help them.
That's help.
Yeah, that's out there, man. That's
so I say that that's help, because if you are serious about dating somebody, not just meeting somebody, you can meet somebody anywhere. Because so I don't really have a lot of game. Speaking to you, what's your zodiac sign? That ain't me. But so when I have conversations, we're out at a date, I want to talk about something interesting. I don't want to know your favorite color. I'll learn that over time. Right. I don't want to know what kind of car you are and all this other stuff. I want to get to know. I start off with who are you? Who are your people? Tell me about where you grew up.
Who are your people?
Yeah. So
right.
So I may not have the clever answer, but that's worked for me.
No, an honest answer is better than clever. I like that.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I just want to know, because being too sometimes, because I suspect you would ask too many deep questions,
Probing questions.
probing questions on the first date or first conversation, right? Do you have any? Because you're like, what's your purpose? Right? I'm like, man,
That's like an hour or two into the conversation. If it gets
it's still the first
Yeah.
date. You asking people what their purpose is on a first date? Oh no. But that's for me.
But
And so
we were talking before, we were talking about online dating. So a lot of these preliminary questions would have been answered, with your little check boxes and all that stuff that people go through. And, some of that's not true. But anyway, we were talking about a lot of that stuff. And so by the time you got to face, then you could probably get with some deep questions because you pretty much had gone through all the other stuff online, had a couple of phone calls, and then you get to face, and you might ask something else more like what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've been following some different lines. So you're actually more old school than you are new school.
I think so, to be honest.
How do you get to the so she tells you her purpose is to help people and develop them in their purpose, right? She's a coach. She's developing people purpose, and then her goal is to make sure she's financially secure. She's financially literate. You like that, right? We're working on some things. I look at her like, okay, so how get to the faith question? Because she could be a witch. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, she could be a Wicca. She could do a bunch of other things. How do you get to a faith question? And don't give me no discernment, sir. Don't give me the discernment.
Well, no. What you mean? What you mean?
I discerned when she walked in the room, the glow. She had a Baptist stride to her.
No.
She pulled a doily out and put it on her lap.
Put a lap scarf on on the first date. She came in
doily on your head, a lap scarf on, right? She said, I don't wear pants, sir, ever.
I said, that's holiness is right. No. So for me, that's a part of my conversation. As because like I said before, I'll learn about your favorite color and the type of flowers you like, because those will be questions that I'll ask over time. Yeah. But in terms of this first date, these initial questions, this first 2 hours of conversing face to face, the faith question is in there because I have probably spoken about my faith. I've spoken being a preacher. It's gonna come out. I don't want to surprise nobody with it, because you got to let some people know, like, oh, you a preacher. Let me tighten up. No, you got to do that. Be yourself. Be human.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm not dating the first lady. I'm dating you. Right. So faith is a part of the conversation for me. And it's never been something that I've been afraid to talk about, because it's been something that I've always been a part of. I've grown up in church. So even as a kid, or a teenager dating folk, I would invite girlfriends to church. That's a part of the conversations. I've dated as a teenager, girls at church in Mississippi and then in Texas. And so it's just the faith question, if you were to broach it, is, it's really, I think, to start talking about your own faith and to see if there's tension, or to see if there's connection. Even if somebody is a Christian, but a different denomination, because that can create some tension. Had a girl I liked in college. I've grown up Baptist, a little more liberal, and she is Kojic through and through.
Holiness is still good.
Right. And so listening to how she spoke about faith and relationships and how to live and this, that, and the other, I'm like, okay, so that's probably not going to work, because my faith and the way I practice is a huge part of my life. And the same thing for her, but I would hate for us to bump heads over that. So let's just remain friends.
So your faith was in line, but you wouldn't want your religious beliefs to become the conflict
Yeah.
in there, right? Yeah, because doctrine, that's why some Christians can find themselves, because doctrine can ruin some things as well.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
love the fact that you brought up, you talked about your forward with your faith, and not only, but your role
Mm-hmm.
and your purpose in your faith and how you live in ministry. We talked about this, Claire. Since you are an environmental person, you probably move a little certain way, and they get to see you. It's some people who are in ministry, it might be a little bit more rough for guys, you know, because not a lot of women want to date men in ministry. I looked at it like this. They used to say in Atlanta, it was
Well, it's
12 to
more
1.
vice versa.
So what?
It's more vice versa. It's harder for women, especially if you're in ministry. Now, if you go to church, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of guys, that's wonderful. We can go
Yeah.
to church. But if you're one of those front row church people, then that's a whole nother. Oh, wait a minute. Now, I don't want to sit that close. Um,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
what I was going at. Yeah. I would always say it was when it came down to Atlanta, it was like, oh man, it's 16 to 12 to 1. I say, yeah, man, after my preferences, and when I tell somebody I'm in ministry and I sit
Yeah.
on that front row in the pulpit, oh, it comes down to 1 to 1. Right? It's like
right,
your sisters
Right.
be like, no.
Yeah.
So
right. There's a difference.
it is a shift, you know. So but for the young people and the other people who are single, because there's always attention in churches about single ministries, not enough stuff about singles, not enough preparation for young guys and young women for how to be approached or to approach, and especially when it's time where culture is leading the way, where the church is silent on a lot of these things.
Hmm.
How do you, once again, I turn the question back, how do you help young men? And I know there's some women that you will talk to as well. So you could pick one or both. How do you help them in practice of dating as a Christian, or getting out there to date? What I mean by that is getting out into the world and making yourself known that you're available in a right way.
Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
I what am I trying to say? I think people, and I'm trying to put it uh, um, a little more astute than this. However, I would just simply say, relax, relax. Like, you don't. Yes, you're a
Mhm.
Christian, you're a person of faith. You have your own religious beliefs and practices, but relax. You are
Mhm.
who you are. You are not who your church expects you to be. Does that make sense? You don't have to act a
Mhm.
certain way. So if you go out, if you meet somebody, you got somebody new at the job who's come along, they work in a different department, y'all catching eyes with each other, relax, just go meet them. And the you don't have to be a Bible thumper when talking to somebody.
Mhm.
That's why.
So what if you are?
What if you are?
Mhm.
What do you mean?
Uh-oh.
So my definition of Bible thumper is someone who's coming to the first date with. Before we begin eating, before we order, let's go to Amos chapter 1 for
Oh,
scripture.
Yeah.
Hey,
or you call it, you say, how you doing today? I'm blessed and highly
I'm
favored.
blessed
Thank
and
you very
highly.
much.
Hey, calm down.
There are those.
There are those, and my advice to them
Stop it,
is
Claire.
relax.
Stop it.
Be who you
You
are.
know me.
So let me answer it this way. So there have been people who tighten up when I say I'm a preacher.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know if I want to be a first lady. One, I just met you. Chill out. Two,
Right.
I'm not. This ain't an interview process for first lady. I want to know who you are, because I'm not
Right.
in the pulpit 24/7. I'm not on the first row 24. I'm up there 2 hours a week. So at the end of the day, Eugene is the person you are coming to get to know. Reverend Eugene is the person at the church. And I live
That's
out
right.
my life both hand in hand. However, I'm not. I don't feel like I'm not going to be laying hands on you every time I see you, and I'm not bringing the oil. Well, let me clarify. I'm not bringing the holy
Amen.
oil and laying holy hands on you. Every time I see you, like, I'm not trying to have a prayer meeting with you every time we go out. I really want to get to know you. I like to have a good drink. I like to smoke cigars. I like to, and don't put me in hell because because I like to live my life freely, meaning I don't put all these constraints on myself. I have boundaries, but I don't. I'm not acting Christian all the time based upon what's going on.
But that's it. That's it. Christian is a lifestyle, not an activity that you have to portray. Right. So you're not going to the Christian activity booth today. You don't run into the, in the closet to put on your Christian uniform and come out. I like that you want to live your life and be real with that. And I think that will help young people understand, okay, I can still have fun. But have some discernment about the fun I'm having, right? Yeah, exactly. And where I'm having it at. I think, Eugene, what I'm hearing a lot of times is that it's hard for women to meet men. Some of these men today, young men, don't know how to approach a woman.
Absolutely.
Right? Don't know how. Now, what are you going to do about this, Eugene? Being at church. What are you going to do about it? I'm putting you on he gave us his job title and everything else. I'm putting him on the spot. Eugene, what are you going to do about these men who don't know how to approach a woman?
Man, you gotta teach better examples.
He hold on, Claire. He over here like, hold up, man.
That's a heavy weight on me, dog. I'm like, what am I gonna do about it? These jokers is something else. So, because the image that comes to mind is a video on Instagram I saw recently. This young lady, I think it was a house party or something, and she set up this phone and she's kind of dancing to the music. A dude just walks up to her, grabs her butt, and says, "Hey, what you want to drink?" Like, come on, dog. Come on, man. You got to have some sort of common sense to know that that's not how you approach anybody. And
I don't know. There are places where that's common practice. So you have to know where you are.
Culture is leading to all this. So we see
absolutely.
And I'm not going to go into my conspiracy theories about the portrayal of Black people in media, the portrayal of Black people as these quote unquote celebrities. So
that's a whole nother show.
We're
coming back. We'll circle back around there.
On here for that.
But I think go ahead.
No, I'm saying go ahead. I want you to break.
I just think there has to be a better example. Now here's where the church can start to shift culture, and changing the image of how we date. Yes, we got boundaries. I'm not gonna cross your boundaries. I'm not gonna take you to places that you don't want to be. I'm not gonna if sex is not on the table. Look, we're not coming over to each other's houses. We'll meet out in public. If a safety is an issue for you, I'm going to always reassure you. I'll meet you somewhere. I won't even, I'll meet you somewhere. I wouldn't even want you getting an Uber. I'll just give you gas money every time. And and that's just a safety thing if you choose to do that. But I'll tell you this, there has to be a better example set. There's a strong group of men at Ray of Hope. And those dudes are some solid dudes. These are guys that I look up to that mentor me in many different ways. And I think that there has to be a concerted effort to be in our communities. Because the kids that come to church, they are already seeing these men. They're already seeing these good examples. But it's important for us to go down to to the Section 8 housing and spend some time over there. Knocking on doors, inviting the people, striking up conversations. That's something that's a call that I have. Some people are scared to do that. However, it's important that we set the example and we're not so insular. But we're reaching out to the people who need to be in these spaces.
That's great, man. Outreach is good. How are you gonna help these brothers know how to talk to women? You almost got out of it.
I mean, what
you started talking about community outreach.
And I'm talking
Right.
about community outreach because I'm saying they don't.
No, I'm just
They're
messing.
not coming
I'm just
to the
messing with
church.
you.
Yeah, they're not coming to
Right.
the church. So
Right.
it's like I gotta go somewhere to set an example and to set up systems and institutions and all this other stuff. But in terms of there has to be the image that gets put out there all the time. We have to find a way.
Here's what I'm asking.
Huh?
What is what I'm asking? Women are saying that they're not being approached. They see men.
Mhm.
Women are saying, "Man, I'm tossing eye contact. You know, I'm dressed to the nine. I go to the club and the dudes is just hanging out with themselves in them like this, the 8th grade dance all over again. You know,
Well, we talked about that before. A lot of them, they just don't know. I mean, we gonna have to come up with a dating coach program.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so I was saying, how would you, if you was going to talk to a young guy, hey, you got 4 or 5 guys sitting down. They're like, hey, Rem Eugene, man, look, man, I don't know, man. I just don't got it. What's the game? I don't have any game, right? And what would you tell them?
So I'll tell them, man, I ain't got no game either, man. I just have conversations, and I'm funny and I'm charming.
That's game.
No, I promise you, it's not intentional ever.
Hold on. See, don't get confused with game with a character issue. It's like game is just being authentically you, right? It can be different levels to the game, right? This is how I present myself. Because when you're dating, you're playing the dating game. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah,
right.
That's it, right? So, how do I engage? Because half of them got their phone. They wouldn't know what's going on, and I don't mean it's just 27. There are 20. I've seen people 27, 35. Man, you could actually take their shoes off and they wouldn't even know it. So, right? So, how is it that these sisters, as you know, the statistics, it's like, man, women are out here highly educated, highly motivated, and some of them have put their self. Go ahead, Claire. I'm sorry.
And then you got guys that want to text. I mean, because I seem to attract younger guys anyway. And so, but I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to text you all day long. I mean, let's go get coffee, right? Have a conversation. They just want to text. Lord.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, how do you tell these, hey, listen, my man, you can't, this text message is not going to last. What are you doing? Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it works. So it's a generational thing here.
Absolutely.
It works for some people. I text me.
It's not working enough.
Some in this generation, I got a friend. His girl was mad if he didn't text good morning. Like, girl, I'm getting my day started. Come on, like I'm moving. Or like, and if they don't text all day, there's a problem. So there are some women who appreciate someone being in consistent contact with them. So it's really, we do have to understand this generation and the modes in which they operate, the modes in which they communicate. So I can give them. So I am a little more old school. I can give them advice. Man, be yourself. I was chuckling a minute ago because I was going to say, man, if I do have game, my game is corny, and I believe corny is the new sexy. And so the right woman will love all of your corniness. The right woman will love all of your goofiness. But here's another thing I will say. I would ask the question of the women who say that men aren't hollering at them. The question would be, is the man you want at the club to holler at you is not hollering at you, or the corny dude at church or the corny dude at your job has hollered at you and you're not trying to give him the time of day?
Now, see, you want to start something. So
my question for that is always, are you welcoming to whoever it is that might speak to you. I mean, you can also post some boundaries and say, I was just saying hi, okay? You know,
Yeah.
when when they come too close.
Yeah.
But I mean, are you at least welcoming? You know, with a smile, no, no, thank you, or yes, that's cool, great. You know, that's always my question.
Yeah.
What is your response, and how is it
I
put on that plate?
I don't think a woman should always have to be welcoming to somebody she does not want an advance from. However,
No, no, of course not.
and
I'm just saying,
yeah,
how how are you to somebody you want in your space? Are
mhm,
you welcoming to them? Now, you know, there's always some brakes to be put on.
mhm,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm a former police officer, believe me, I know how to
yeah,
put brakes on. Uh,
right.
but I can be welcoming. But at the
and that's what I'm
same
saying.
time, you can set boundaries, but
Mhm.
you know, are you at least entertaining something? I mean, can I say hi without you biting my head off? That's what most guys, that's what I hear from most guys. You say hi and they be like, hey, oh my,
What kind of dudes are these, man?
what up?
Right. You know, it's a we talked about this. There is this, as we have seen culture lead things, right? We got a whole bunch of songs out here, and it's basically uh it's hot girl summer out here, right? So it's what can these dudes give me? You know, can
Right.
you got to spend this on me? But how does a man approach in these times? Because the reason we're having this show is the difficulty that it seems to be for people, singles, to come together and at a greater rate than is what's happening right now. I think we're actually, I don't have the statistics, but I'm sure that we're on a decline when it comes to birth rates. I do remember hearing this has
Yeah, we
dropped
are.
for the first time in corresponding to death rates.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So young people are not coming together. Um, and it could be conspiracy theories that maybe actual have validity. It could be social media, living a life that is instantaneous but not real, because social media is not a real place, people. It's not a real place. I'm looking at the camera. It's not a real place.
Mm,
So, you know, and, but they live it that way,
mhm,
you know. So, and being that you have a unique position on this call as someone who is around a particular generation, you
Mhm.
know, have you heard, let me say that, have you heard about the difficulties when it comes to dating and being a Christian, or just dating before you get to the understanding of a Christian, how to even enter into the activity of dating?
hmm. So I haven't heard any questions, especially not posed that way. I'm trying to think
Mhm.
of, the essence of your question. Um, so when I'm dealing with my youth, uh, it's really that's kind of where I get to go back to this point of you got to know yourself and know what you want,
Mhm.
because they're wrestling with, you know, this guy like me, but I like this other boy, whatever, whatever. Or
Right.
I tried to holler at her, but she, she curved me, or whatever. Yeah, it's so when I deal with youth, um, I do offer the advice of be yourself.
Be yourself.
Do not
Mhm.
try to put on a show or stop. Don't show up as your representative. That's a very hard thing to do, but at least show them
Yeah.
who you really are sooner rather than later. That's some advice I gave to a couple of my students who went off to college this year. It's like take your time, um, and
Mhm.
get to know people just because you want to get to know them without and this is the advice that I would give. Get to know people because you want to get to know them without the pressure of saying, I might want to date you. I do want to.
Right.
Just make
Learn how to be friends.
exactly. Make friends first. Um, and that's how you kind of enter into this space. It's like, I had this friend for some time. I want to see where we
Mhm.
go. Or you realize like, nah, I don't even want to risk it with this friend. With young adults in particular, they grow, and most of them are dating already. And it's interesting that we're having this conversation because it's preparing me for conversations we're going to have in 2024 about what
Mhm.
these quote unquote controversial topics. So I have had conversations with young adults regarding sex. And like I said, I have a pretty liberal praxis in my theology. I don't think sex is the main thing we need to be worried about as
Right.
practitioners.
Okay.
I don't. I'm not telling everybody you got to forget about sex. My focus is,
But you can't do that.
people. You can't, because it's a part of who we are as human beings.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think for too long,
That was all we talked about,
for
right?
too long, that was all we talked about, and we condemned it. And so folks don't even know how to date because
Right.
everybody.
And that's the point I'm making.
Yeah,
there.
and
That's part of the problem.
Like,
that's where, because the church has condemned so much about sex and
Mhm.
condemned so much about dating and making sure you're not living in sin and you're not shacking up with nobody. What? Hush.
Mhm.
And that's why it gets back to mind your business and let me build relationships the way I know to build relationships, in a godly manner, in a respectful manner, so that I can get to the place in my relationships that I want to be. I want to be married with kids.
two things you said.
Around porch. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Two things you said. Godly manner, respectful manner. That will keep you from shacking up first.
Hey, that'll do it.
Right. Yeah. When you want to live in a godly manner, and also when you know don't last long once they get married. The statistics, divorce is really, really high. But man, I would love to, because we're about to declare, I guess. I don't know if you want to go a little longer today. Let me know if the producer's in the house. So we're gonna do part two.
I'd love to talk about that. Yeah, if it's a part two, I'd love to talk about this idea of shacking up.
Hey.
And
oh my, yes, let's talk about
things
that.
we've tend to shun as Christians.
Well, if we do talk about it, we'll keep it data based for sure.
Yeah,
facts. But the thing is, I like the fact that you have a conversation with your youth and the young adults, right? Young adults are going to do what they want to do, but they definitely need guidance. And I think a lot of young men need help, because we talked about this earlier, Claire, with the old model, right? Me being, I'm 50. So the model was, how that whole process of getting yourself together, prepare for a date. Well, a lot of young guys don't know how to get themselves together to prepare for a date. It is, I'll meet you there. And it's an expectation of some people, it's an expectation that a woman may pay for her meal and pay for yours. I've heard some wild things, right? You being Eugene, you got a little older soul to yourself. So I don't think you would do that. But how to get these guys to understand?
I don't know, he might.
I try to help you, man.
No, no, that's not the case.
This man said pay for gas. All right.
I know.
Right. If you're worried about safety, that's cool. I'll accommodate.
Now, I don't know.
I'm being messy.
I don't know if he's, but and then how to date women who have children, right? How to engage that, if that's a path you want to go down at 25. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that's got to be one of the first questions that are asked, on both sides.
Yeah. Do you have kids?
You might not even want to go any further.
Right.
But at a certain age, like I used to tell my oldest brother, I was like, well, at a certain age, just about anybody you meet gonna have a child already. Once you start getting the upper 30s.
Hey, listen, it is true. But I try to live my. I would like to think that we are talking about dating in the areas of the mean, not the extreme. You know what I mean? What works for some people on the extreme, and sometimes people try to live their life on the extreme. For this person, it should work for me. But where's the majority of this hanging at? And I keep bringing back to Eugene for young men, because we had a young lady speaking, right, about the woes of these streets for young ladies. Right. Hey, listen, I was in them. I'm not in them no more. So, but I heard it's hard out there. So that's it. Like, and I hear people say it, even older people now. Like, when I mean older than 35. Like, hey, look, these streets are wild now. Like, it is not the same anymore. As far as like getting to know people, there's a whole different shift.
Yeah,
we're gonna. I'm gonna try to bring Aisha back next week so we can all get on here. That ought to be fun. But yes, our time is looming. I like to keep it at least, at the most an hour or so.
gotcha.
But I just want to thank you for joining us today, Reverend Eugene.
It's absolute pleasure.
You have done exactly what I thought you would do. We give us some thoughts, some things to think about. He's a very highly intelligent young man.
Thank you.
Like I said, the pastor, I think everybody under 25 at Ray of Hope.
Everybody under 30-ish.
Oh, under 30-ish.
Right.
Oh my. Yeah. He has a lot of responsibility. And we appreciate you for coming on and sharing with us. We, of course, love to see you come on again soon.
Listen, I'm so glad you asked me, and I really appreciate the time that we spent tonight. This has been enlightening, and it's helped me to kind of focus on, maybe I need to start having some small groups with young men. All right, we're gonna talk about dating.
Hey,
we're gonna talk about game.
I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it all starts with good examples.
Don't go anywhere though. Hang out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hang out with us when we go off. But Elder Case, my birthday twin.
Oh,
what? I'll see you again next week. As always, I'm asking y'all to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave some comments, because I do come on and I'll answer them, or I will, chat it up with you in the comments as well. Appreciate you all. You want to pray us out, sir?
Sure. All right, let's go to the Lord. Father, we thank you for amazing conversations on how to live our lives in a manner that is worthy of you, Lord God, and that can bring your name glory. Father, I thank you for Eugene coming on the show tonight. I thank you for Claire, for the mind that she has to have such a show and a topic that will help those who hear it, Lord God. Now send us out, Lord, doing what only you have called us to do in a manner that is worthy of you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.